Hi, and welcome to More Human, More Resources, the HR podcast for entrepreneurs. I'm Vicki Brown, your host and CEO of Vidamaneo Enterprises. As a serial entrepreneur, I understand that having the right expert help has been critical to my success. That's why I'm dedicated to telling you, in plain language, what's going on in the world of HR that might impact your business and what you need to do about it, with real actionable tips to help you master that list of must-dos and grow your leadership muscle. First things first, the information contained in this podcast is provided for general purposes only and is not to be considered legal advice. Your decision to adopt or not adopt any practice or procedure mentioned in this podcast is solely yours, and we bear no responsibility for the outcome. We urge you to always consult legal counsel and other appropriate licensed professionals. And with that, let's get into the show. You're listening to Season 1, Episode 9. In this week's episode, our question of the day is how to interview. Recently, a new client came to me and said, "We're scaling fast, and I hate interviewing. I don't know the right questions to ask, and actually, I don't think I'm very good at it. How can we scale if I can't find and select the right people?" What about you? Are you asking the standard questions and getting the standard answers? Do you spend too much time selling the company and do more talking than listening? How much do you prepare for the interview? You know, searching for and selecting the right candidate does not need to be a painful exercise. And the payoff? Well, the payoff is excellence. You have the right people on the team doing the right jobs and making the place buzz with innovation and growth. But making that happen, well, that takes more than knowing the right interview questions to ask. Today, I'm going to guide you through finding good candidates and using smart interview techniques to select the right person for your team. First up, figure out what you need. A successful interview starts by finding the right candidates, and you can't find the right candidates if you don't know what skills, experience, and attributes you need. A solid job description helps potential candidates understand the expectations and requirements of the job. The goal is to help them self-select, so qualified applicants will apply and unqualified ones won't. Here are some questions to help you in writing the job description. What are the expectations of the position, and what do you want the person to accomplish? Is anyone currently in the position? And if so, what personal characteristics make them successful in that position? Is it attention to detail, strategic thinking, project management, etc.? What previous experience will help someone succeed in the job? Are there educational or equivalent experience requirements? By the way, be careful using educational requirements alone. You may run afoul of anti-discrimination laws. Yes, it's really easy to accidentally fall into this pit. So I suggest asking for education or equivalent experience together. Who will this person report to? Where will they be working? Next, figure out where to look. How do you get the word out about your job opening? Well, you have to post the position. Generally, postings come in two formats: short form, more of an ad version for the job description, and long form. Which version applies depends on the job posting platform's guidelines. Now, here's a quick legal note. Make sure all your postings have equal employment opportunity employer language, and don't ask about prior salary. That's illegal in some states. You may also have to have other notices depending on the requirements of your state and/or city. Now, decide who is best for the job. The interview starts long before someone walks in your office and you ask them where they plan to be in 5 years. By the way, please don't ever ask that question. Interviews start with the resume. No matter if you're the first one to see the resume or you have someone who does the initial screening, your job is the same in both cases. Compare the resume with the job description to determine 3 things. 1, is there a match of qualifications and experience with what you need? 2, What additional information do you need regarding items listed on the resume? And 3, what information do you need regarding items not listed on the resume? Focus your energies on number 2 and number 3, the information that you need. This will form the backbone of your interview questions. Your goal is to identify and measure competencies. That's a fancy HR word for abilities. You're delving into competencies in order to measure the candidate's level of experience. For example, their resume says, I'm customer focused. The competency you're going to measure is customer service. And an interview series question would be, give me an example of a time you were not able to meet the client's request. What made the situation challenging? How did you communicate the information to the client? How did the client respond? What was the outcome? You can use this format for each competency you identify. Require the candidate to provide details and examples. Begin your questions with descriptive words or phrases. Tell me about, describe, how, when, help me understand, give me an example. Then use follow-up questions until you're satisfied that you fully understand the example that was given. I'll put a link to some sample questions in the show notes. Once you're fully satisfied that you have all the information you need, then you can talk about the position, the benefits, and opportunities, and the general joy of working at such a unique and progressive company. If you're anything like me, this will be your favorite part of the meeting. I know there are any number of alternate ways to interview: group interviews, multi-stage interviews, video interviews, etc. While I won't directly address those variables today, keep in mind the interview prep remains the same for all interview formats. All applicants should fully complete an employment application. A resume is written to highlight the candidate's significant credentials. However, a job application is a legal document that asks specific facts and includes a statement of faith or an oath that the information is true and accurate, as well as the applicant's signature. An application provides far more support to the company than a resume. While it may be a bit annoying, you should have every interviewed candidate complete an employment application. Yes, that even goes for senior staff. By the way, while I'm being Debbie Downer, I'll also mention other interviewing pitfalls. Testing. This can be a problem if you use them to intentionally discriminate or if they disproportionately exclude people in a particular group. Physical ability, cognitive, and personality tests have to be carefully administered if you decide to use them. Best practices include ensuring that all tests are properly validated for the position. Even if you use a third-party vendor for testing, you are still the responsible party. Figure out if there are equally effective alternates to testing. Consistently evaluate job requirement changes and monitor all tests being used by the organization. Sound complicated? That's because it is. That's why we recommend you use testing very carefully and stick to specific skills tests versus personality, cognitive, or similar tests. Now, on to the subject of bad interview questions. Steer clear of any questions that could be considered equal employment no-nos. Here's a short list. What childcare arrangements will you make for your children? Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Do you own a car? Yep, I have to explain this to clients a lot. As an employer, your interest is simply that they will arrive at the right place at the right time, not how that will happen. Do you have a disability that would interfere with your work here? What was your salary at your last job? Are you or have you ever been married? Have your wages ever been garnished? Have you ever been arrested? Do you plan to have children? Are you pregnant? How old are you? Have you ever filed a workers' compensation claim? What are your thoughts on the current healthcare changes? What was your maiden name? Do you attend church on Sundays? Where were you born? A general rule of thumb, only questions related to whether or not the candidate can do the job are permitted. not how. Congratulations, you found the perfect person. Now rinse and repeat. You're scaling, remember? If you found this information helpful, please leave a review and tell a friend. Thanks for spending the time. Until next week, same time, same place.